The last thing my son said to me before he drove away was, "Dad, you're going to love it here." He didn't look at me when he said it. He was already checking his phone. I stood at the entrance of Maplewood Gardens Assisted Living with a canvas overnight bag at my feet and watched the tail lights of his Lexus, a car I paid for, by the way, disappear around the corner. And I thought to myself, he has no idea what he just did. My name is Walter Crane. I'm 74 years old. And I built Crane Industrial Supply with my own two hands, starting in 1983 with a rented garage, a used lathe, and $11,000 I borrowed from my father-in-law. I worked 6 days a week for the first 9 years. I missed birthdays. I missed anniversaries. I miss things I can never get back. But I built something real. Something that today employs 231 people and generates just under $40 million a year in revenue. My children, my son Dennis and my daughter Pamela, grew up inside that company. They knew the smell of the shop floor before they knew how to drive. I brought them both in after college. I gave them titles, salaries, and responsibility. I trusted them the way only a father can trust his own blood. After their mother died, something shifted. I could feel it. The way they talked around me instead of to me. The way they started CCing each other on emails without including me. The way Dennis started calling my general manager directly, bypassing me entirely. I was 63 years old, sharp as a tack, and they were already talking about me in the past tense. I had a small stroke at 69. Nothing catastrophic. A few weeks of recovery, some speech therapy, and I was back in the office. But from that point on, they treated me like I was made of wet paper. Every decision I made was second-guessed. Every opinion I offered was smiled at and quietly ignored. By 72, Dennis started suggesting I step back. By 73, Pamela was introducing herself to clients as the company's acting CEO. And at 74, on a Tuesday morning in March, they drove me to Maplewood Gardens and handed me a toiletry bag like I was a child being dropped at summer camp. I want to be honest with you. The first few weeks, I was devastated. Not because of the facility, it was clean enough, the staff were kind enough. I was devastated because I had looked into my children's eyes and seen something I'd never seen there before. Calculation. I had become an inconvenience. A legal obstacle. A signature they needed to obtain. What they never bothered to actually verify, and this is important, is whether they already had it. They didn't. I had spoken to my estate attorney, Raymond Kowalski, years earlier about succession planning. We had drafted documents. But I had never signed the final transfer of ownership. Not because I forgot. Because I wasn't ready. The company was still mine, 100%, held in my name through a family trust that I alone controlled. Dennis and Pamela had been operating under the assumption that by moving me into a care facility, by establishing a narrative that I was mentally unfit, they could eventually pursue legal guardianship and access the trust through the courts. They had even consulted an attorney. I found that out later. What they didn't know was that Raymond had been driving out to Maplewood Gardens every other Thursday to have lunch with me. We didn't eat lunch. We worked. By month 4, I had issued formal written notice to the board of Crane Industrial Supply that I was resuming active control of the company as its sole legal owner. I had documented, with Raymond's help, every unauthorized financial decision Dennis and Pamela had made in my absence, including $80,000 in company funds used to renovate Pamela's personal home office. I had also, quietly, arranged for an independent physician to conduct a comprehensive cognitive evaluation, which I passed without a single flag. The board meeting happened on a Thursday morning. Neither Dennis nor Pamela was notified until the morning of, through formal certified letters. I sat at the head of the conference table when they walked in. The same table I'd bought in 1997 at an office liquidation sale. I remember it still had a coffee ring on it from the original owner. Dennis went pale. Pamela started crying before she even sat down. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't have to. Raymond laid out the documentation. The board, who had grown deeply uncomfortable with the direction the company had taken in my absence, voted to ratify my resumed authority unanimously. Dennis said, "Dad, you need to understand." I said, "I understand everything, son. I understood it the moment you drove away without looking back." They were both removed from their positions that afternoon. Pamela returned the funds. Dennis resigned his seat on the board before I could formally remove him. Both retain their shares as minority stakeholders because they're still my children and I'm still their father, and those are two facts that even betrayal can't entirely erase. I returned to the office the following Monday. My nameplate was still on the door. Someone had turned my chair to face the window. I turned it back. Here's what I want you to take away from my story. Getting older in this country means people start looking past you. They talk louder and slower. They assume your silence is confusion instead of patience. They forget that the person sitting quietly in the corner might be the one holding all the cards. I was never confused. I was watching. And if there's someone in your life right now who's being dismissed, who's being quietly managed, who's being treated like they're already gone, pay attention. Still waters run deep. They always have.